Hi, listeners. Today we're covering a company that built its name on viral smartphones and a magic touch for creating every kind of smart home appliance imaginable. We are, of course, talking about Xiaomi. This company, which started far from the automotive world, has just launched its first two EV models. And the result, it's stunning. The SU7 sedan and the YU7 SUV have become one of the most wanted and pre-ordered EVs in China. It also made the fastest EV sports car in history so far. This is Xiaomi EV. We're your hosts.
I'm Linda.
I'm Pan. Welcome back to Ascent. Hello, listeners. Welcome back to this episode of Ascent.
Welcome back, everyone.
In this episode, you'll learn about Xiaomi EV, its recent EV creation, SU7, Ultra, YU7, and yes, that's the only right way to
I
pronounce
thought we were
it.
going with the spelling, like the YU7 and
YU7.
SU7.
Yeah, SU7, that's right. We'll get to the naming conventions in a bit. And who is Lei Jun, this man who is originally from a very small town in Hubei.
He's a CEO, by the way.
Right. Yeah. And built one of the top cell phone companies in China. Why did Lei Jun even wanted to build this EV company from scratch? And what are the financial reasons that he may have wanted to do that? Also, to give you a little bit more context, this is our second attempt in making this.
Yeah, so you've never heard an episode titled EVs of China because we never released it. Why did we not release it?
We started with 5 companies in the EV research for episode 0, let's call it that. And it was NIO, XPeng, Xiaomi, Li Auto, and BYD, and decided that it was completely out of control, the amount of research that we had to do. Yeah. And after that 2-hour recording session, we both felt like that our brains are both on fire, and that was way too big. So this is the second time of tackling this. We will get to the other companies later on, but for this time, we will just focus on Xiaomi.
Yeah, our brains are still on fire, but like controllable fire.
Actually, yes, it is not. Xiaomi EV is not to be underestimated. The amount of research that we both have to put into this to sort of reverse engineer how this decision is being made is a lot of work. How about we start with Lei Jun himself?
Yes, the history of the CEO.
Lei Jun actually had a few nicknames that people called him.
I know in Chinese, there's like Lei Bu Si after Steve Jobs. That's the only one I know.
And he was also called the Elon Musk of China because since building EV, he has gained that reputation.
Yeah. He now dresses like Elon too.
Yeah, he does, right? Like
he used to dress like Steve Jobs and now he dresses like Elon.
Exactly. We wanted to explore whether he was the real Tony Stark of China, and actually, I think he can get to pretty close to that because Lei Jun, if you translate that name into English, it's Thunder and Army. Like, guys.
Thunder Army. I think it's less of a Iron Man, but more of a Thor.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, he definitely belongs to one of the...
He's definitely an Avenger.
A hero. Yeah, definitely an Avenger. He also has quite a solid followership on social media. I think this is very similar to Elon Musk as well, but for different reasons. Elon because, now that he's more involved in government and he, developed crazier projects. But Lei Jun's Weibo, which is the X of China, and on Bilibili, which is the YouTube of China, cumulatively, he has a very large followership. He has about 5.7 million subscribers.
Wow.
And 200 million views on the equivalent of YouTube in China, Bilibili.
So he's like the tech Kardashian of China.
Exactly. And he posts so many things about the process of this car is being made.
It's probably like 200 hours of Lei Jun talking on the internet.
Well, I'm not kidding. Like, I watched a lot of hours right now. I think after this episode, I'm going to go for like a Lei Jun detox. Like in my dreams, I have him as a figure. It's like, talk to me about, how to build a product. While he is posting so many things on social media, he would also claim that he is actually a big introvert. He is afraid of social interaction, and when he is shooting videos in the company or in the factories, he would get nervous. And you can see it. His hand would fidget.
I can see that actually from his talks. They're mostly scripted.
Right?
Which is how introverts do presentations. Speaking of from personal experience.
Right. We'll try our best to give you the financial details, but in the meantime, also paint a more like 3D picture of who Lei Jun is.
Yeah.
So by the end of the episode, you would maybe know more about him as an entrepreneur, as someone who started a huge venture, his personality. I will give you a little spoiler. Needless to say, he is extremely intelligent and capable. He's very much of a engineer at heart, and he is sort of a GOAT product manager. Like he is really crazy about making products.
What's a GOAT?
Greatest of all time.
Oh. Sorry. Learn something new.
Should I say goat instead? Okay.
Yeah, goat.
Product manager GOAT.
Yeah.
And he's very ambitious and loves competition. Lei Jun was born in 1969 in a very small town in Hubei called Xiantao. He had showed very early interest in engineering, aka he likes to take things apart and assemble them.
Mm-hmm.
I think we just call it a kid.
Yeah.
Take things apart and can't put it back. He is that kind of person, what we would call in China a study machine or a study god. Most of the Silicon Valley CEOs, they quit school to start their business, right? Like Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg. Lei Jun has a very different approach.
He didn't quit school.
He didn't quit school, but he finished his school within 2 years. He finished undergrad within 2 years.
Right, that is similar.
So instead of quitting school, he still wants to get that degree, and he just wanted to wrap things up faster. So within 2 years of time, he got a perfect score and graduated with a computer science degree. And this is the 80s in China. The whole computer science program only has about 15 computers in total, and that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, sidetrack. My mom did computer science, and they didn't have personal computers back then. It was like a big room.
Yeah.
You wear a hazmat suit, and then you staple like holes in paper, and then you that's your input.
Right. So that's learning about computer science back in the 70s and 80s. Right? That's the condition where you will start learning.
Yeah.
And his coding is really good. He taught himself most of the programming and coding. His work is featured in the textbook for freshman students.
Wow.
That's how good his work is.
Wow.
And also, he loves gambling too. He plays poker a lot. And his only excuse is that if you're trained as a programmer, then that must mean that you don't socialize enough. Therefore, you need to socialize through
gambling.
Not
encouraged. Not encouraged.
And you have to start playing cards as early as you can. And the person who loses gets lunch for everyone. So that's kind of his rules. Yeah.
That's how he gets lunch at school.
Yeah. This is like semi-bullying, but he's very good at playing poker, and he loves a big crowd around him. Mm. The reason that he got so much into coding is through a book that was published in the 70s, late 70s. It's called The Fire in the Valley: The Birth and Death of Personal Computer by Michael Swain and Paul Freiberger. The book is roughly about the 70s. Well, the contemporaries were protesting the computer as a tool of dehumanization and oppression because it just came out, right? It was a big machine. A motley collection of college dropouts, hippies, and electronic fanatics were engaged in something much more subversive. They call it subversive. They're obsessed with the idea of getting computers' power into their own hand. They launched from their garages a hobbyist movement that grew into a whole industry and ultimately a social and technological revolution.
This is a non-fiction or fiction? It's a fiction book.
It is a non-fiction book documenting the entirety of the first computer was created in 1964 or something. But it was about the first decade of those who are the hippiest or those who are the college dropouts.
Trailblazers of the modern computer industry.
Exactly, the trailblazers. So he read that book and he was made believe that the revolution of personal computing is coming. He believes in that the relationship between a person and a computing machine will be the rest of the history for the next couple of
Wow.
decades. And he bet it right.
Yeah.
So he really got inspired by this book.
Yeah.
And then I'll just make it very short. He started making softwares when, graduating from college, and after 2 years,
This is early 90s, right? Early
89,
Okay.
around that time. By the time that he left Wuhan University, the savings that he's got out of selling softwares that he made was 4,000 RMB, which is about $500. And then the average GDP in China in 1989 was about $311 that year.
Wow.
So he made a lot of money.
That's a lot of money in Chinese standards back then. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So he graduated, and he was believing that my future will forever be related to software making. After he graduated from college, he started a series of software ventures. We'll save you a lot of time here because we would like to make a separate episode just on Xiaomi itself. So a lot of those are related to Xiaomi, but I'll just sum it up for you here. He joined a company that Qiu Bojun started and made a software, WPS, which is sort of the equivalent of Microsoft at that time. The software that he had worked on is called Pangu. That's the first attempt. Work office collaboration software.
So not the operating system, but the office software.
Right.
Okay,
The office software, right. Did not work out completely.
Yep.
He recruited a lot more engineers and worked on a separate version. He didn't sell as many copies that he wanted to. Very frustrated. Decided to go into the market and find out why. Discover that, it was way too advanced for market and it was way too expensive.
Because nobody paid for Microsoft in China back then, right?
Right. He was, exactly.
Yeah, like people
Exactly.
get pirated versions.
Right.
Yeah.
Pirated versions. Personal computers were just starting in China at the time. Do you remember the year that you had a personal computer in your home?
1995. But that's because my parents are,
Right.
into the industry. Yeah.
Right. And my family got our first computer in 1997, which is around that time. But you're
Yeah.
right. I don't think anyone paid a lot of money for software.
No, we got like pirated. Sorry. Sorry, Microsoft, but we were using pirated version all the way until 2000s.
Sounds about right. So he realized that if you want to be competing with the pirated version of the software, you need to offer something that is super easy to use and at a much cheaper price. Attempt number 2 was exactly that software. It's called Computer 101, 电脑入门 in Chinese. It is basically a walkthrough for any beginner who wants to use computer. How do you start? Because computer
That's
was a new
smart,
thing.
yeah.
That's very smart.
Yeah, I remember doing typing lessons and we bought the program on typing lessons.
There you go. Yeah. The price that he'd offered the new software was only a fraction. And then he, proposed a new direction to work on. Like, obviously that software was great, but it wasn't long lasting enough. And also, 2 other people entered the internet market, which later became his competitor. One is Ding Lei from NetEase. The other one is Ma Huateng Ponyma from Tencent.
Okay, so
And-
NetEase is mainly gaming right now, and then Tencent is just the owner of WeChat.
Right.
For context.
Well, I think obviously these 2 companies are on the list for future discussions too. But
Oh,
these are
definitely.
gigantic companies. Both of them are younger than Lei Jun. So Lei Jun decided that, okay, how about this? I compete in a slightly different way with NetEase. So he started a gaming venture within his company. 剑侠情缘, Swords Heroes Fate, also called JX Online, was the first generation of RPG gaming in China. Attempt number 3, very popular, still exists today. A lot of different versions. One of the largest MMORPGs.
Really?
Online. Yeah, still exist. Okay, so that's not bad, right?
Yeah.
And then you get a lot of people like playing this, who are still paying money. Okay, not enough. Keep on going. 1999, this is 10 years after his first attempt. He created this dictionary software, and I bet you have used it before, because I've been using it for a long
What's
time.
it called?
金山词霸, Kingsoft Dictionary.
Oh,
Yeah. Kingsoft Dictionary was attempt number 4. This software itself also sold 1 million copies. And towards the end of his venture in Kingsoft, last bit was also something that I have used. I'm not sure whether you have used that before. It's Joyo.com. Joyo.
no, I haven't used it.
It is the very early attempt of e-commerce. Joyo.com was sold to Amazon in 2004 with $75 million.
Oh,
That's
it's
the top
the
five.
precursor of Amazon.cn.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's right. It was the green, overall green layout. Yes, it was a precursor to Amazon.
So
Anyways,
5 products.
5 different attempts. He probably have made a lot more things on that way. These are only some of the more famous, more,
The
noticeable
ones that sold
ones.
more,
Exactly.
like in terms of revenue. Yeah.
Right. Kingsoft finally went public in 2007. He was the CEO for Kingsoft at the age of 29.
Was he part of the co-founding team? Like, did he own shares, or was he more like a product manager?
He owned shares.
Okay.
Up until today, I think he's still very heavily affiliated with Kingsoft. The gaming part and the non-gaming part.
Mm-hmm.
But, Kingsoft isn't at the top of
Today.
in China today,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
But it's still there.
Yeah, he's still there.
Doing quite well, yeah.
And he knows that. And he feels deeply bothered by this fact. He's a crazy smart guy, graduated computer science within 2 years, right? Like at the top of everything, like earned 4,000 before he left college. He had a very emotional moment when Kingsoft went public. And he said, when we worked on Pangu, which is the Microsoft equivalent,
Microsoft Office. Yeah.
I recruited some of the best engineers in China. But the saddest thing is that we worked all night and all day on this thing for 3 and 5 years. And we created this software that is so disliked by the market. And I feel so sad and defeated. We could have done something differently and achieved so much more. And I asked myself, how did we come to this? And he said, everyone should go to be a sales or a promoter sometime in his life to make minimum amount of money, but you will learn so much.
Right.
Right. And then the reason that he said it is because up until 2007, the moment that Kingsoft was brought to public, the most revenue generating bit and the profit making bit for the company is the game. It's not the software.
Right.
And he felt quite sad as a
But he also
software
produced
developer.
the game, right?
He does. But
So
maybe it's not true to his heart. He wants to be an engineer. He wants to be a product manager,
So
but he doesn't want to be working on a gaming
I'm
company.
making a lot of profit on this thing that I
Yeah.
don't particularly like, but I'm not making a lot of profit on this thing that I really believe.
Right.
Right.
Believe is the
Yeah.
keyword to Lei Jun. And if you remember what else happened in 2007, first, Apple launched iPhone. Second thing, Microsoft also launches first smartphone back in the days. I don't even know. It's too early. Like I didn't have any phone.
Yeah.
It's called Crossbow. Wrapping up, Kingsoft was a very courageous attempt for young Lei Jun. Like imagine your 20s to your early 30s. You did so many things like that. Like just about our age. He's already a CEO. And then on to the next chapter. Even though he brought Kingsoft to public, to IPO, he was not satisfied.
It wasn't his product.
It's not his thing.
Yeah.
So he decided, I must do something else.
Yeah.
And here comes the second large company that he initiated. And this one, we all know what it is. Xiaomi. Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was
No,
like,
no,
did
there's
he
no
have
question mark
anything in
here.
between Kingsoft and Xiaomi?
Well, first of all, Xiaomi. So Linda, what does Xiaomi mean in Chinese?
Little rice.
Little rice.
Or just rice.
Or couscous, right? Little rice.
Oh, wait, it's actually couscous. Oh my god.
But it
Okay.
also means little rice. It could be little rice, it could be couscous. How
Couscous.
cute is that, right? Yeah.
Oh, because rice is dami. Okay, sorry.
No one can really pronounce a word that starts with X, right? Like if you were to be looking up a dictionary, the only word that you will look at that start with an X is xylophone, like, or cipher.
Xiaomi.
It's very hard for the Western market to pronounce that. So he had a partner who was the UI and UX designer for Xiaomi cell phone later on, and his name is called Li Wanqiang, who is also a veteran from Kingsoft that Lei Jun trusts very deeply.
Mm-hmm.
Li Wanqiang's dad made a couscous porridge and sent it to the office on the day this company was registered and starting to operate. It was like, this is such a wholesome story.
Aw.
And then there is a photo documenting a group of them, the beginners who were in nowadays Yinggu building in Zhongguancun, and it was room 807. It was all of them in the same place.
Yep.
They were standing around what we call a rice cooker. And in that rice cooker is the couscous.
It's the birth of Xiaomi.
It's the birth of Xiaomi. It
Imagine-
literally it's Xiaomi was there, like it was present. Couscous was there.
Imagine if the dad cooked something else that day. Like Xiaomi would have been
would
like, I don't know, durian or like whatever.
Well, thankfully,
Yeah.
it wasn't that crazy.
Thank you, Dad.
Yeah, thank you, Li Wenchang's dad, for giving us such a great story. So then, we'll shorten it, but we all know about Xiaomi's story that the most famous product that they've ever created is the product that they've launched in 2011, which is Xiaomi's first phone.
Yep.
And that phone, why was it so popular?
It was cheap.
It was cheap, but comparing to who it is cheap, right? 2010 was when iPhone 4S, also my first cell phone, smartphone, was launched. iPhone 4S was priced at 4,988 RMB.
Like $800.
Yeah, somewhere
Yeah.
around that. And do you know what is the annual GDP per person in China in 2011? Okay, I'll just tell you. It's about 5,700 US dollars. And translate into 35k RMB around that. So if you were to be buying a phone, it is 1/7 of your annual income.
But annual GDP is way higher than annual income for a typical country.
Right. So, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
So I think it would have probably taken you a few months to get your iPhone, like salary to get your iPhone.
Exactly.
Back then.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. What Xiaomi did was, by putting everything together and knowing that the wave is here, like every single human being will be using a small machine, and as a believer of that, and also given the supply chain advantages, Lei Jun built a phone that was in direct competition with iPhone. That phone was less than 2,000 kuai. It was 1,999.
So less than half the price of an Apple,
Yes, couple $200-300.
but with, I would say, 80% of the functionalities.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He actually he's like the first one to tap into like cheap Chinese manufacturing and scale it to the world.
And this is the same challenge that he had encountered while selling the software. If you don't bring your cost down, there will be a million pirated versions just floating around in the market. So
Right.
you must develop something that is, the mass will use it, the price will be low.
This is also at a period where China doesn't know how to do branding yet.
Yes.
Because I think China only learned to do branding
After Lei Jun.
well, like in the past, let's say 5-ish years, like really after 2017, 18 is when you start seeing Chinese brands in the
Yeah.
international market. So back then it was a production house. And production
It's
houses
just factory.
cannot offer premium price products
Mhm.
because they don't have the branding power. So they need to keep the cost down.
That's right. That's right. And so what Xiaomi has done is legitimized the cell phone making supply chain. Like
Yeah.
some of the cell phone makers really did wonders for the Chinese cell phone manufacturing business. Apple obviously is one, and
Yeah.
Xiaomi is another one. Anyways, the conclusion is Lei Jun's product making philosophy is he doesn't like selling a straw at a gold bricks price. If he thinks that this is something that everyone will be using in the future, then scale economy, I must find a way so that more people can make use of it,
Yeah.
which correspond to the product that he made later on, which is a series called Redmi, which is an even cheaper phone that he had made.
He just tapped into a market that back then the market leaders like Apple and Samsung are not thinking about. And there wasn't another brand or supplier that has the scale to do this.
Right.
So it was a perfect niche in hindsight. That
Perfect.
isn't even a niche, it's like a mass market.
Right. He
Yeah.
was ready, he picked it out, and in his reflection after Kingsoft, he asked himself, what did I miss such that I did not bring Kingsoft the way that I wanted to? And then he realized that, oh, I picked the wrong market.
Yeah. Learning from your past.
Exactly. I must pick something that will scale, that will have a demand. And therefore, I jump onto it and I ride the waves.
Yeah.
Which is the correct way of doing business. And of course, he started the business in 8 years. This time in 8 years, 2018, Xiaomi went public. And then the valuation was 200x the original value. So it was impressive.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that there were 4 different lines within Xiaomi, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Business lines.
Yes. What are those?
Okay. So we have obviously the smartphone. And I'm looking at, so we only have financial reporting after 2018, after it went public. So smartphone was the biggest segment back in 2018. Now is about still half of the annual revenue, but 1/3 of the gross income. And then it started their IoT and lifestyle products.
Mm-hmm.
So that is your Xiaomi TV, your, what else do we use? My Wi-Fi is Xiaomi hardware.
My humidifier is Xiaomi.
A humidifier.
Yeah. My alarm
Pots.
clock is
Alarm clock. It's just like everything.
Small electronics.
Yeah, appliances.
Yeah.
And that is now also a significant part of their revenue. I think 30%, and then about 30% of their net profit or their gross profit. And then they have something called internet services, which is less well known. Most of it is advertising money coming from Xiaomi cell phone or Xiaomi TV. Even though it's only 11% of their total revenue share, it makes up for more in terms of gross profit than the smartphone business.
That would make sense.
Because the margin, like the margin of it is so low. It's kind of...
And Lei Jun was so proud of that margin call, right? Remember, in one of the earlier releases for Xiaomi phone, he said that he will never exceed 5% of profit margin.
I didn't know that, but now
on the cell phone business.
Yeah.
And he made a promise. He made a public promise to all of those who are buying Xiaomi's phones. I think that could be one of the reasons why the cell phone margin has to be so low.
Yeah.
But this is great. It brought him skill, but also a trap that he always have to be constantly looking for something that will bring more profit to the company.
Yeah. I didn't remember he said 5%, but that's interesting because currently their gross profit for a cell phone is higher than 5%.
Oh, that makes sense.
But I think it's because they're doing this mass market and there's a lot of economies of scale.
Right.
But guess how much margin they have for internet services?
I would say 40-50%.
77.
77?
Yeah.
Wait, what is in that service?
It's mostly advertising, right? So if you
Right.
buy a Xiaomi phone, for example,
Gotcha.
and then you'll see some ads, and from the advertisers, they collect the money, but it's almost like, yes, you have the hardware, but then it's an accounting thing where you don't really count the costs,
Gotcha.
right? So
there's literally no cost.
software services generally have a higher margin,
True.
but this one, because they own the whole smart, like the whole
ecosystem.
hardware and ecosystem,
Right.
it probably even lowers the cost even more. So that's the 3 product line: smartphone, IoT and lifestyle products, and internet services. And then here's our last one, which is the new business, Smart EV. This one, they started reporting revenue only starting from last year because that's when their first car launched. And even within 9 months of the first sale of the SU7, in 2024, they generated 9% of the total revenue, so 32 billion Chinese yuan. 9% of their entire business line in 9 months. And their gross margin is, I think, at 18% the entire year, but it's much higher if you look at more recent numbers. That's their gross margin. They're still making a loss because they're still investing in R&D and whatnot, but it's amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so fast. That brings us to a very interesting observation that I've made about how Lei Jun wants to run Xiaomi. First of all, he was born in a really good time where the internet was booming. Internet-related hardware is booming. And then he absolutely recognized that, and he is completely aware of it, and he took advantage of that, right? Like the market is there. And then he himself, as an engineer, firmly believes in that he wants to build something great, and he wants to really understand the client's need. And that was written down in one of the books that he published in 2022. And he said, "Oh, be friend with your users."
He's all about customer feedback. It's even to the
100%.
point where his product managers are like, please stop.
So we're not making this change for 15 people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he loves offering the products or services at a very competitive price. When he tells a story, Lei Jun has above average engineering level of storytelling techniques. Right? He's really good at.
And he's also very good at making something complex
Quite simple
and straightforward, because not all of his audience, most of his audience doesn't have any engineering background.
Right.
So he managed to making a car sound simple but sophisticated.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That's something that he has.
Talent.
Yeah. Definitely a unique talent. Before we dive into the EV bit, I want to start with a few questions. Right.
All right.
What was your impression of all of Xiaomi's product before the EV?
I would say it's cheaper than average market.
Yep.
And I think they built a reputation around the fact that they're selling at cost plus.
Mm-hmm.
And so for the average consumer, you trust that they're not making a huge profit when you're purchasing their product.
Right.
And their designs are usually wide and simple, straightforward. So for someone who's minimalist, or for someone who cares more about the cost and maybe just not so much about the fancy schmancy like branding, I'm definitely their target audience.
Yeah.
Like I bought a lot of Xiaomi products around the house.
Yeah.
Knowing that they're good quality,
Yeah.
good customer service, and they won't overprice.
Right.
Yeah.
I have very similar impressions on Xiaomi products. Minimalist, not the loudest pieces of gadgets that you would get, which is a plus.
Yeah.
If you like, you don't want to.
If you like these kind of stuff,
right?
That's like your brand loyalty is there.
Kind of like Muji, but electric appliances.
Yeah, exactly,
right? Yeah,
exactly.
Muji. And while you mentioned that, I think it also means that Xiaomi is associated with cost efficiency. Like it's cheaper, but typically not the most durable products that you will buy, because what you're thinking is, oh, if I were to be moving, if I were to go somewhere else, I'm just gonna toss it. Because it's so cheap.
Well, yeah, but it's not the worst. Like because within the whole spectrum of what you can get in terms of hardware in China, electronic hardware in
can
China,
get really bad.
There's stuff that Xiaomi has this minimum standard where it's not gonna break within the first 2-3 years at least, but it's not. Obviously, it's not like the highest quality. It's like if I'm buying a vacuum cleaner, it's not a Dyson.
Exactly.
But
that's
I'll
right.
buy it.
Yeah.
Value for money.
Value for money.
Yeah.
Here's a question. In year 2021, when Lei Jun, in March, standing on a stage, declared that, hey guys, after very thoughtful consideration, you know what? I'm going to start building an EV.
Yeah.
And I learned that news much later on. And I'm like, in my head, do you know what image I had in my head? I was like, will it be like a minimalism white car?
A matte white.
Yeah. just simple to the core. Like I didn't know what to expect. But in my mind, I was associating Lei Jun's statement with, oh, it's going to be a very simple car, cost-effective car. So what, right?
You're not the only one to ask that question. I heard an interview for the Xiaomi designer recently.
Even he believed that.
And the interviewer asked the designer, like, why wasn't the car white and matte? And the designer was like, are you
That's
crazy?
Rude. Yeah. Let's maybe break down the steps of how did Xiaomi even make that decision? Or should I say Lei Jun made the decision to make that EV, right? Because we both think that this is the most interesting bit of the whole story.
Yeah.
You're making cell phones, you're doing fine. You're selling a lot of phones. You have different lines of phones for different groups of people, for men, for women, for gamers, for students. And you have tablets, you have like TV screens, you have a lot of things going on. Why, of all of a sudden, when your financial report
they're still looking
looked
good.
Okay, you decided that, hey, I'm going to be starting making EVs.
Yeah. So I did do a lot of research on this. So the public information that's available comes from this 2014 speech. So Lei Jun does an annual speech, kind of like a tech talk. And the 2020, sorry, not 2014, 2024 version was titled Courage. And in his 3 minutes of his speech, he went over exactly kind of the thought process of entering the EV market. I'll give you the conclusion first, which is somewhat misleading, but then here's kind of the entire storyline. So the timeline is he flashed a date, which is January 15, 2021 on the screen. And he said, I got a phone call at 7 a.m. saying that you're being blacklisted in the US. So that signaled that there's a issue with potential future sales of Xiaomi phones or Xiaomi products. And there was an emergency board meeting that was called that day where they made a decision to run a 70 or so day investment on EV's feasibility. And then the announcement was made on March 30th. Let me break down the entirety of the story. 2021 is January is the final days of the Trump administration. He issued an executive order in late 2020 where it says the Department of Defense actually can put companies on a blacklist if they think that there's ties with the Chinese military. And this is called the Communist Chinese Military Companies List, CCMC. And this is a key detail because this was not the same list that Huawei was on in 2019 that banned them effectively from getting US chips or getting Google mobile services, which include the Play Store. So that kind of killed Huawei in the US. That's called the Department of Commerce's entity list. The list that Xiaomi got put on is called the Communist Chinese Military Company list, which is from the Department of Defense. This blacklist actually prohibits US investors such as Vanguard and BlackRock from holding shares of Xiaomi. So after being blacklisted, Xiaomi did two things. They, first of all, immediately started to investigate the feasibility of entering the EV market. And this was widely publicized. He said there's, 200 interviews, 75-day investigation. He didn't sleep and whatnot. At the same time, they also filed a lawsuit against the US government, calling the DoD designation unlawful. And so less than 2 months into the lawsuit, which is on March 12th, still before the EV announcement, the US court granted a preliminary injunction. What this is a temporary order that essentially said, hold on, we're putting a pause on your ban while we review your evidence. And this is actually a major signal that the court was siding with Xiaomi rather than the DoD. And it's indicating that there wasn't enough evidence to link Xiaomi with Chinese military. Because it's a consumer product. It's not like Huawei where, 5G towers and whatnot, right? So after 3 weeks of this ruling is when Xiaomi officially announced its entry into the EV business via the Hong Kong Stock Exchange voluntary declaration. Okay. Then 2 months later, the DoD dropped all the claims. They dropped them from the blacklist.
In May.
That's in May. But back in March, they already know this is happening. They can't win the case because the preliminary injunction was there. So going back to the 2024 speech, which is 3 months after the initial car SU7 was launched, Lei Jun talked about the series events, right? And he didn't exactly phrase the launch of the EV like I just the timeline that I just did. So I mentioned how he started his speech with the huge sign of January 15, what happened on the PowerPoint presentation. He recounted the emergency board meeting and described how urgent it is. Specifically, he mentioned that one board member asked, if you cannot make smartphones, what will you do about the 30 to 40,000 employees of Xiaomi?
Oh my God.
Are they not going to have a job, right? And he also mentioned another board suggested, perhaps you should think about making cars as if they never thought about this before.
Okay.
And so he concluded by the end of this meeting, all the executives are in support of my EV venture and that I actually was the one that thought that the risk was so big that I need to get into this 70-day investigation process. And after the 70 days, they concluded, yes, it's a go. But we know that by the end of the 70 days, they knew at that point the blacklist wasn't going to happen. I think.
Okay.
I can't conclude for certain, but this is my side of the story.
Yeah. Even in his books, there was a paragraph that was emphasizing on, how did Xiaomi ended up on that CCMC list? He mentioned that in 2019, Lei Jun himself was awarded a prize by the MIIT, which is the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology of the PRC. That was perhaps one of the reasons that how Xiaomi was being briefly put on the list of CCMC.
Xiaomi was never actually at the risk of, again, they're not on the entity list, so they never was at risk of losing smartphone components access. Like they can still get Qualcomm chips.
Right.
They can still work with Google to get the Android operating system and Play Store, even if they maintained blacklist status. They can still do that. The real threat is that there is a potential risk of stock price collapsing because their stock is owned at that point by a lot of US institutional investors. But ironically, if they been on the list, right, not taken off.
I love this statement. Every single episode, Linda will have had they.
But if they were on the blacklist, what would happen is their stock price tumbles. It would have made the EV venture much harder, not easier, because a fall in their stock price would have dramatically increased the cost of raising massive capital needed to fund the EV investment. But what I do agree is that this event did help them accelerate this decision. It was becoming more urgent, and geopolitical risk is real. It's saying that, it will impact Xiaomi. It's not that they're completely immune just because on the surface they're not a Huawei, right? Or they're not producing chips or whatnot. But the fact that, had they never thought about this risk, I don't think so, because Huawei even happened in 2019. Right? Have they never thought about the fact that maybe Trump or someone else would put them on some kind of list to prevent them from selling smartphones?
You could see it coming.
Yeah. So the EV is a right decision. It's just the whole storyline might be a little bit misleading.
Yeah, that's right. So what happened after they had made the decision and made the release that, hey, I'm going to make this phone? And in my mind, I was also calculating, a man is 52 now. Right?
Yeah, committed to a new
why
venture.
Would you do that? Right? Like at the age
why would you have a new baby?
Yeah, why would you have it? In the Courage video, he famously mentioned that this is the last project that I will do.
Yes.
And he famously said that I will bet everything that I have.
Yeah. There's so much drama in that. So everyone, please go watch the Courage TED Talk.
It's so good.
There's so much drama.
He also seemed a little stressed. He is a little chubby at the time. Maybe it's because of the stress.
Yeah.
But he seemed a lot better right now. Like you can see every single year he makes a different video and then he looks very different. And then you can see like that this is
my mental status.
The mental status, how the stock price will go.
Yeah.
I was thinking whether this decision was reasonable enough. And here's my thinking process. Xiaomi is the number 3 cell phone maker in the world. There's Apple and Samsung. To be a really large cell phone maker in the world right now, you're playing a game of elimination. It's very Game of Thrones-esque, right? And in China, you have to compete with 6 other phone makers, Xiaomi included, and that's Huawei, Oppo, Vivo, Honor, and Transsion, which is Infinix. You have phone makers that covers the upper level, the mid level, and then the low end type of phones.
Yeah.
So inside of China, it is very saturated. There are about 10.4 billion phones in the world. 70% of the population are unique phone users, which is about 5.8 billion. And the most developed countries are already equipped with a phone. So the part of the world that doesn't have a phone is the developing countries. And to sell phones to those countries, you're not going to have a very, very high profit margin. Like, aka you're selling it to Africa, you're selling it to other emerging markets. So, for example, Transsion, Infinix Mobile, is selling in Africa, and they're selling it at a super cheap price. To be able to continue on in the mobile phone game, you will have to increasingly manage your costs.
You can't compete with Samsung and Apple's in terms of the high end. You have to compete in the mid to low market.
Here comes another question. If you want to become an EV seller, you also face quite a lot of competitions.
Right.
However, the market is really large, right?
Yeah.
And we can both see in the numbers that we put together, BYD is selling at millions of cars starting, I think, in 2023. And it's officially hitting the 4 million mark as of 2024.
Yeah.
Right. So BYD actually ascended really fast.
Yeah.
But all the other car manufacturers, they're trying to find their value proposition and trying to take up like a fair share in that whole mix. Xiaomi has probably observed that there is still a lot of room in that game. Yeah. Therefore, it will be worth it for me to start participating in right now.
Yeah, I would say actually the EV market is similar to the smartphone market back in 2013, 14 maybe.
That's right.
Is when you still have a lot of players and not everyone has a smartphone yet, right? So not everyone has an EV. In fact, I think only 25% of the global population, not even 25% of new cars sold are EVs. So that's not even near penetration.
Nope.
So any company has a goal
in
EV.
Exactly.
Compared to smartphones.
Yeah. And so the competitive landscape, I didn't go into the details, but you can tell that there are at least 4 groups of contenders in that game. The first one is the completely new EV brands that are coming from large tech companies. And for example, there's NIO, there's Xiaopeng, Xpeng, there's Li Auto. And then there's the manufacturers.
They're not even internet brands. They're just like new tech brands.
Yeah. Just completely new brands.
Yeah.
And there are the battery manufacturers, the BYD, right?
Yeah.
And then there are the phone companies who are trying to make bigger phones with wheel. That's Huawei and Xiaomi, right?
And Apple tried and failed.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they failed. And finally, there is the traditional car companies who are trying to make sense of what's going on with all the hype. Can I just still join the game?
Can I just replace my ICU with with batteries?
That's right.
That's right. Cars.
Right. The game has begun, and then you have those 4 groups of people in this. Here comes Xiaomi. Lei Jun, he has always mentioned this similar conclusion in different, either his interview videos or in the car launches. His conclusion is if you don't do EVs, someone else will, and someone else will take over your market share. So the urgency is definitely there.
Yeah.
And
if you don't do it now, you're losing out.
Right.
Like if you don't go into it now, then don't go into this.
That's right.
Yeah.
And he has 3 beliefs that he had set out at the very beginning out of like 14 years of making phones and starting many, many companies.
Yeah.
His conclusions are, first, 90% of the people who are in this game right now might lose later on. So it's not a matter of when you enter the game. It's a matter of whether you can make it till the end.
How long do you survive?
Exactly. Yeah. Game of elimination, right?
Yep.
There you go. And in this game, there are 2 bits that you compete. Number 1 is the actual electrification of a vehicle, right? Do you turn this into a battery, an electric motor powered machine versus a petrol powered machine? And then the second bit is, how do you make this car a smart car? As smart as your phone. Except that's the second bit. And he said that he has significant more confidence in the second bit than the first bit because of experience making Xiaomi. And then the third is, lessons learned from Xiaomi is, if you want a hardware to have longer lifetime, then you must invest in the core technologies early on.
Yeah.
Which is why he had built the electric motor himself, the V8, and also on the software bit, they also hired somewhere around 1,000 people just to do the FSD.
This is actually, I want to interrupt. This is actually a learning he had from his cell phone making days, where his initial plan was to have more dependency on the suppliers. And in one of the years, I think 2017 or 16, I can't remember exactly which year, there was a hiccup in the supply chain, namely with the Korean OLED suppliers, both Samsung and LG. And that played a huge role in his decision in the investment in R&D for EV, and the fact that he has to control the core supply chain components.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lessons learned.
Yeah.
You can't be depending
Learn
on
from
someone
your
else.
mistakes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He launched another very important meeting, and then he had a discussion with the board. Most of the big corporations, when they launch something innovative, it often end up failing. In what way will Xiaomi EV die? That was it. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, that's.
No, he
yeah,
did.
I know, right?
I don't have to worry about it for now.
And his examples were, so Microsoft once upon a time had a mobile phone service, had a mobile phone, smartphone product.
Yeah.
We didn't even heard of it.
Yeah.
And Intel had a cell phone chip service, and also did not end up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It didn't survive. Did it survive till today? Maybe, but do we know about it? Is it a core revenue generating business? Probably not.
Yeah.
So
be careful when you're innovating, basically. Yeah.
What if Xiaomi EV died like any other bigger companies' innovative projects?
Yeah.
Like there is that possibility.
Yeah.
In what way? How are we going to? Right. High likelihood. And he discovered that maybe there are 3 reasons that are preventing the bigger corporations from having innovative businesses. The first is you are too content with your current title that you don't push forward. You have experience in cell phone making, but you have 0 experience in EV. However, you carry the name of Xiaomi. You feel content. You stop making things right. Second is any experience that you have accumulated in the past may not be useful in the new company. Like the new company doesn't even have the 0 to 1 stage. Right? So anything that's before may not be useful for the new one. So past experience. And the third one is that you have cognitive dissonance into you don't understand like the current stage of your problem. You cannot identify in car making how big this problem is and at what level I should be responding to this problem.
Right.
Like as in you're not fully formed in the car industry. In fact, you don't know anything about the car industry. The car industry doesn't even recognize you.
So basically, if you're too full of yourself, you will fail.
Yeah. Well, I think reason 1, 2, 3 are all
the same.
Yeah, all the same. Like you don't
be modest.
Yeah, be modest. Be modest. With that identified, he decided that okay, maybe we need to scratch everything that we have before and just assemble a complete new team and build a very rigorous PMF process, product market fit process, to be able to actually make this car. Here is how he built that car. Who are the first group of people that he had hired to build this car?
Who are they?
Ocean 17. There are 16 people who migrated from Xiaomi, the corporate, to Xiaomi EV.
Got it.
That's the 16 people are already.
But I thought he said he start from scratch.
But those people are those who have like HR experience, those who have finance experience.
Got it.
Those have PR and internationalization, marketing.
Right. So the mid office folks are all from Xiaomi.
Exactly.
Okay.
There is one person that was not directly hired from Xiaomi. This person is poached from BMW.
Oh, the designer.
Exactly.
Okay.
His name is Li Tianyuan. Sawyer Li, designer for BMW i series, which is also an electric vehicle series. He was working for BMW for about 10 years. The moment that Lei Jun announced that, hey guys, I'm going to be making an EV, Sawyer's like, hey guys, I'm going to be coming back to China to build this with you by BMW.
Yep.
So it was a mutual feeling for each other that like drew himself to Xiaomi.
I have a little bit more, I guess, insight on this. So I spoke to someone who's in HR in the auto industry.
Cool.
And he mentioned that actually for most of the new EV companies, they had 2 types of people that they need to hire. One is the designer who's in control of the looks and feel of the car. And then there's kind of the production side of things. So for designers, most of them still prefer to hire from abroad. So people who have extensive experience in Germany or in the US or in Japan and Korea. But for the production side of things, because the SOP and everything's so well established in China nowadays, they can hire domestically. And so it's not a surprise that Lei Jun chose to poach someone from BMW or other manufacturing. What is surprising is that this guy, he is only 35 years old. So he's not like well established in the market.
Somewhat
established, but still quite young in terms of someone who's leading this project, because everyone had really high hopes of this project, and everyone had very high demands for this project. So for him to bet on someone who's younger than expected, it feels like the DeepSeek hiring strategy where you believe in someone, right?
Yeah, you believe in someone. When SU7 was made in the first release, a American designer, Chris Bangle, who is also the chief designer for BMW Group, was invited. There was a 3-minute plug by him just endorsing how great of a car it is.
He still works at BMW?
He doesn't work for BMW anymore, but he had a TEDx video, which is really fun, and it lays out his design thinking, which is great cars are art. Like, he believes that cars convey feelings. Cars are important tools of how we express ourselves in daily lives. In total, to be able to complete this project, Xiaomi hired about 6,000 people, with 100 folks who are plugged from Xiaomi corporate and put into Xiaomi EV.
Got it. So mostly new hires, which reflects his start from scratch mentality.
Coming to the story of launching SU7.
The first car.
So
we're going to call it SU7, right?
SU7 is technically called Su7, right? If you know the Chinese intonations. And Su means speed. It's called Speed 7, Su7.
Okay.
So, yeah. But if you want to call it SU7.
I'm looking at YouTube and everyone's calling it SU7. But if you... The Chinese pronunciation, guys, is Su7.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with Tesla Model S.
Yeah, not the same, not the same. The Tesla model naming convention is SEXY, and then we all know what that is.
I actually didn't know about it before you told me.
Lei Jun had later reflected that it has been incredibly difficult to make a car, and one of a very specific challenge that he had mentioned is you're essentially bridging 3 different groups of people together, and then they don't necessarily speak the same language. First, it's the automakers. Second, it's the cell phone makers. And third, it's the software makers. If you have those 3 people working under the same company, it'll take some time for the 3 of them can actually work together.
I can imagine.
Right? Not to mention if you hired someone who is non-Chinese, that will add like a different level of complexity on top of the existing one. Like, how do you create a framework such that car designers, cell phone designers, and software designers can both work together?
Actually, one thing we forgot to mention is that he had to run this project. He has to head the project personally, I think, for the board to approve everything.
Yeah, for sure. And then he applied
he led the project.
He led the project, and he also applied for a really large amount of money to run that project, right?
Yeah. The announcement said 10 billion Chinese yuan in the first year, and then committing 10 billion US dollars, which is about 7-8 times of that in the next 10 years.
Yeah. And he has used a lot of that existing budget.
Yeah.
60-70% of that already.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, but some of them are like capex and stuff that he can recover, like buying the land.
Right. Buying the land and building the factory probably costs a lot more.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you just have to give it time till like later on maybe.
You can amortize it for 20 years. So.
Yeah. Ramping up the production cost. In 2022, that's the year when he was just quietly building the car.
Yeah.
And 2023 is the year when the car prototype was built, and then the car prototype started to test run in different Chinese cities. By the end of 2023, that's when he had organized a small release within the auto press group.
Okay.
And he had invited about, a group of 20-30 like media folks who are very much affiliated with the auto industry. Most of them gave very negative feedback about SU7. Yeah. And they were saying that your product is way too niche. Why do they call it niche? Because by the time it was, the end of 2023, everyone who was in the game, like Huawei and Li Auto, they were making SUVs. They were making bigger cars. And why did they make SUVs? Because if you were to be putting a battery pack in a car, it takes up a lot of room. So if you were to be making an SUV, it's easier to pack everything together.
But by then, the biggest seller, BYD, was making sedans.
To be able to compete in a slightly different group, it was a mid to higher end of cars. A lot of people who at that price point were making SUVs. And also SUVs, you can naturally charge people a higher price point.
Because they were at the, 200,000 Chinese yuan above category.
Exactly. It was in between 200 and 300K category. Lei Jun decided that, okay, so within this category, a lot of people were finding it difficult to make a physical sedan and to make it a good looking sedan. Yeah. So he wants to give it a shot. Yeah. And his benchmark was, if any EV that was able to sell in the Chinese market monthly at 10K, that's the volume, 10,000 pieces of that EV, then that car would be like a viral product. That car would be a
low goal for his.
Right now, they're currently selling at somewhere around 20 to 30K.
Not there yet, but that's their goal for the end of 2025.
Right. They're selling a lot more than that. Yeah. Now that you want to build a sedan within the 200 and 300K bracket, here are the classic questions when you were doing PMF, which is, first, who are the primary users for your product? And second, what problem do they have that is not resolved with the current EVs? Number 3, what can your product do to solve the problem for them? And last bit, will this product be both functionally good and aesthetically pleasing at the same time? That's the typical PMF questions that you would have. And after which I would think rounds and rounds of audience research, Lei Jun decided that with the first car, I am really going to please the women buyers, which is very obvious in the first press release. Not only did he intentionally tailor the car for women, he had also tried to use his social media to engage more with the female audience. In just about less than a year time, his channel's female subscriber went up from 3.7% to 22%.
He only had 3% before EV launch?
Yes. He had 3.5%. Very, very, no woman was watching his, was watching his videos. And up until right now.
All because of the UV protection block in the car.
We'll get to that later. We'll get to that in a bit.
But so just a quick fact. Remember you talked about the end of 2023 small scale media launch.
Yeah.
So back then, everyone in the car industry thought this wasn't going to mass produce because Xiaomi was targeting their car branding as the supercar, as the sports car.
Performance car,
Performance car. And nobody thought that was a niche market in China because people don't buy sports cars. Like people buy road cars like SUVs.
Yeah.
And so they didn't understand how Lei Jun can turn a sports car imaging into mass market.
That's an excellent question. I think he really tried to tackle that problem from a product manager point of view. In his social media, he tried very hard to test out the public sentiment to a sports/performance cars. Every single time, he gets a very positive feedback on the videos that he has posted. Right. And then you would get positive feedback on, like in wintertime, he did the winter testing on a frozen lake in northeastern China. During the summer endurance test, he went to the western part of China, like in the middle of nowhere, there is a desert, and he tested donating in a desert. So every single time, people were leaving him a lot of comments and say, I look forward to the performance of this car. Right. So I think throughout his testing, in between the end of 2023 and 2024, he posted so many videos on his channel.
To make the public think that this is a performance car, this is a supercar.
Exactly.
And then he didn't release the price during the initial tech talk presentation.
That's right.
On purpose.
On
It
purpose.
was like we were expecting a sports car category.
He was trying to showcase, which is so smart, right? You were testing out and just showcasing how great the performance is about this car in every different place in China. A few weeks before the official launch, he was still trying to test out like how would people take this, at what price point, at what range should I be offering this. The critique was very common, and they all align in a way that, oh, you want to target the female audience, you want to target those who are buying the car for the first time, but you're building a performance vehicle. How large do you think that group is, right? Like, so nobody is going to buy your car. So that's the common critique.
How did the media, how did the auto industry get this so wrong?
Well, I think the auto industry was, maybe it was a 50-50, right?
Yeah.
But the concern was real.
They thought it was going to be like a 10,000 car market overall.
Yeah. Well, look at it now, right? But Lei Jun still wants to target female in the
Good
audience.
for him.
Yeah. It's whether, and that he had segmented into two smaller groups. One is female individual who have enough money, wants to buy a car for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And the second is the female who is in the family, because he said specifically, in a family, man can have the power to say which car they pick, but it's the woman that holds the financial power. If the woman likes the car, then she can point to the man which car to buy. That's what he said.
Right.
So I think he really knows.
They actually satisfy both genders because it does have the performance that a lot of men are looking for.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at least now we've narrowed down to, okay, we want to build a sedan, and we want to build this for the newer generation of car owners, perhaps a lot younger, perhaps more women. What will that car look like, right?
Yeah.
And
not white,
not
matte.
Yeah, his previous product will give people the impression that it's very bland, and it's very basic, right? But if you're building something for the women, then you cannot. That is not going to be enough, right? He said, in the past 140 years, all the good-looking designs have been designed. Everything that you could have think of has been realized. If I were to be building a new car, no matter how well I design it, it's either going to have the same face or going to have the same butt. That's what he said.
So funny.
and
he copied.
He asked himself, the choice is between, do I be classy or do I be edgy with the new car? If you're being edgy for a new design, then you're originally targeting a very niche market, and then you're edgy, like, so it's maybe going to be even smaller. Like, you don't want to be designing a car for the sake of a new car, right? So he decided that maybe being classy is the way to go. And so he borrowed some other design, some may think.
It is what, I mean, I get it. A lot of cars look alike, but it has been criticized as looking too much alike another car.
He tried his best to explain, when you want to be building a classy, good-looking, charming sports car, what's the one thing that you should be focusing on? His answer is, and even for a good-looking individual, it is the portion of the car. If a person or if a car is good-looking, then that car must have its proportion.
There's a golden ratio for car design.
That's exactly right. In the SU7 release that happened in March 2024, if I watched the whole
3 hours,
it was just so long. And did you know how many times? I didn't count actually, but
I didn't watch it. It was 3 hours.
I watched it. Oh my god, it was. He mentioned so many times. Isn't it good looking? Isn't it good looking? 好看吗? He called out so many times. There are about 200 plus selling points in that particular product, and every single thing has something to it. It's the color, the texture, the hardware, the software, the battery, the range. Oh my god, there are so many of them.
Even though I didn't watch the entire thing, I did look up the specs and stuff, and so they purposely chose a 3-hour time slot. Even though the car launch could be 30 minutes long, they purposely did it 3 hours to make sure they brief everyone on every single technical and creative detail.
Correct.
To make the audience feel like they are part of this journey, and to make them understand as much, be transparent as possible. And it played right into their target audience's hearts.
Yeah. And you can hear the audience, like among them are some like bros,
Like fans.
who are like, yes, I want it. Give it to me. Like you're gonna hear them
It's
yelling.
like, I don't have a car driver's license, but I want this.
Yeah, but I want this.
Yeah.
But I do have very strong impressions on a few key selling points, which are a lot of colors.
Oh, yeah.
9 colors of
Yeah.
SU7. Second of all,
Yeah.
there is a built-in cell phone holder.
Oh.
Lei Jun also makes fun of it. How can a cell phone maker not have a place for cell phone in a car that it built?
Question.
Yeah.
Does it only seal the Xiaomi phone or can it seal another?
I think it's a generic one.
Okay,
like
okay.
probably like every single phone should be able to
fit into that.
Right. And number 3, the very big one-piece ceiling
the
that
glass
it has,
ceiling,
the
yeah.
glass ceiling that it has. It is one complete piece, very large piece of glass with sunscreen to it.
So for those of you who've never been in China, sunscreen for the female population
thing.
is a big thing.
It's a big
It's a
thing.
huge thing.
Yeah. Lei Jun is so proud of it. And he mentioned that for Xiaomi SU7 compared with Tesla Model 3, if you put both of them under 38 degrees Celsius, right under the sun, for 1.5 hours, SU7 would be 12 degrees cooler than Model 3.
Oh.
Yeah. And it's sunscreen and it's cooler. Like, why not? It's such a...
So this is why it's been criticized by the auto industry so much. Like it's great.
It's a cheap trick, kind of, but
Exactly.
it's not cheap. It is a very
It's a useful,
thoughtful.
it's a very useful and thoughtful component of the car. But the auto industry, the old style auto
the
makers,
petrol boys,
right?
Yeah.
That's not what they're selling. They're selling horsepower. They're selling engine. It's not. Xiaomi does have
Exactly.
really good engine,
Yeah.
but no one ever thought about putting sunscreen as your main selling point
Yeah.
in a car
and
manufacturer.
Honestly, the only thing that I had remembered after that 3-hour release was the sunscreen.
Me
How good
too.
that sunscreen-
Like it makes so much. It went viral because of the sunscreen.
Yeah.
Like who would have knew?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the price of it, it's still cheaper with everything that's being put together. It is still 30k RMB cheaper than Tesla Model 3. But here comes my question too. Lei Jun has also invested in NIO and Li Auto.
Yeah.
With the launch of SU7, isn't this a little self-sabotaging that you're, blocking the
You're
other...
your competitor and the
Exactly.
investor of two
Yeah.
other car companies.
Mhm.
Yeah. He actually mentioned that the CEO of both these companies were in active support of his decision to enter the EV industry, which is surprising because Lei Jun also said he believes 90% of the EV will be owned by the top 5, say, manufacturers. And so why would he go into an industry where he invested it into companies already? Why don't you just put more money into those 2 companies if you believe in the industry rather than becoming a competitor? Again, I think there's a difference between smartphone and EV industry in terms of the market penetration. If you look at the gas cars manufacturers right now, yes, there is some concentration at the top, but it's definitely not like 5 manufacturing takes all, right?
Mhm.
We can probably account for at least a dozen manufacturing that are on top of their games.
Mhm.
And Toyota, who leads the market, gets probably 10% market share. Whereas if you think Apple and Samsung probably together gets half of the entire cell phone markets. So for NIO and for Li Auto, they are part of the auto industry. They have background in the auto industry. So for them, they actually believe in a pie for everyone. Maybe not a pie for the 100 EV manufacturers that are currently in the market in China right now, but definitely the top dozen. Because even if you look at the market position for the top EV manufacturing, BYD, low end, cheaper,
Mass market.
NIO is
High-end.
high-end battery swapping user ecosystem. Li Auto is more for performance.
Extended range.
Yeah, extended range. Xpeng is for autonomous driving. they're kind of the rival for the Tesla FSD. And then Huawei is for their also autonomous driving, but they're more on the partnership model rather than the manufacturing model. So everyone has their own niche, and everyone thought that the niche is enough to sustain their own business, because for you to start making a profit, so the volume for you to start making profit is actually quite standard across all of these manufacturers, about 350 to 400,000 deliveries a year. And that is not a lot if you think about the Chinese population size.
Not at all.
Yeah, and so if I can start making a profit at this volume, the market can probably sustain at least 10 companies at this volume without penetration. So I think one of the reasons is that, we can each have our own niche. We can each produce.
Safe place to start.
Exactly.
Everyone can get something out of it.
Exactly. And then once they penetrate the Chinese market, there's obviously the entire global market that I think the Chinese EV manufacturer have their eyes on now.
Very much.
So it's less competitive than you think.
So it is fair to see that different competitors coming out of the Chinese market and going global. Just because the business model would make sense.
Yeah, and maybe it's a long-term play where the Chinese manufacturers in 3 to 4 years' time, they will start targeting Europe, right? They're already started, but maybe that the ambition is to take over the global EV market. And so maybe it's all of them together, targeting Renault or targeting Ford or Tesla. EV bros.
So it's just a start. The EV bros. Or the sis. Moving back to more products that's launched.
Yep.
Have you ever wondered why they launched SU7 first and then SU7 Ultra and then YU7?
No.
Ultra. Okay. Ultra is this performance electric monster. I think that's the only right way to characterize it.
It's a real sports car.
It's a real sports car.
Yeah.
Do you know how heavy it weighs?
No. I don't even know.
It's 2.4 ton. It's 2-3 times of a typical ICE combustion engine.
Oh, wow.
A sports car.
Wow.
And it's very heavy. Xiaomi launched it in that order: SU7, Ultra, and YU7.
It's like half year, right? SU7 March, Ultra somewhere in the fall.
The Ultra is October 2024.
And then YU7 or YU7
was in July. Yes, was July 2024.
No? Oh, really?
June, July 2024. I think it was the last.
No, YU7 was launched recently.
Recently, yes.
2025.
Oh, sorry. 2025. Yes, 2025. Yes.
All right.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay, so what is Ultra? Ultra is an absolute electric monster. It is a collector items for the auto fanatics out there.
Yeah.
And we'll just skip to the exciting part of Ultra and why it distinguishes itself from other, whether it's EV or sports car, because it's both of EV and a sports car, which is unheard of.
EV sports car.
It's just so few of them. It's not even a official category yet. I made you watch that documentary.
Yes.
In 2024 October, Ultra had its first run in the Nürburgring.
Yay. It was so long, the documentary.
It is 45 minutes. If you want to take a look at it, it is on bilibili.com. In short, Xiaomi had the plan of test run this car in Nürburgring, but they booked it in January. They had no idea that October, Nürburgring in Germany rains so much. That's why you can book it, because no one else wants to have that time, right? And when you're in October, they landed there right after the October holidays in China. It typically ends on the 7th of October, and on the 8th of October, both the car and the whole team who wants to race the car are in the Nürburgring, waiting for some time that it will clear up, that it won't rain.
Yeah.
If it rains in Nürburgring, then it becomes unraceable. Like the track will be too wet and it will be very dangerous for the person who is driving the car. So they waited and they waited until October 18th. There was a brief moment where it was clearing up, but 2 hours afterwards it started pouring again. So it was never a good time. They even waited until the BYD team had.
BYD was there too.
Yes. Xiaomi team was asking them whether I can take
Use
up
your
like
slot?
20 minutes
Oh.
of your slot if you have extra. BYD end up not having any extra time.
Because it was raining as well.
because the time was very
Right.
limited, and
Yeah.
you don't want to be testing the car for one round. You want to be testing it for several
Of
rounds and
course,
see what's
yeah.
when the tire is warmer, right? You have better
Understandable, yeah.
right? So they waited and waited, and finally on 28th of October, it cleared up. It was in the morning, and they were able to finally run this 2.4 ton, very chubby baby Ultra. It was on the racetrack. And to be honest, it wasn't completely dry. It is still somewhat a little damp.
Yeah.
This driver, David Petard, who is a pro driver, only had 10 minutes to drive. And for 10 minutes on Nürburgring, that was only good for one lap. That's it.
Only?
One lap, that's it. If you want to finish as a pro driver, typically it takes about like 6-7 minutes. If you're a little crazier, then 6 minutes. But
Yeah.
if you want to play safe, then it will be 7 minutes and above.
It's just enough to get to know the track. Like you can't make any
Right.
progress.
Right.
Yeah.
So he drove for the first half of that lap. It was quite gentle, but towards the second half of that lap, you can visibly see that he's pushing the limits a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe because the tires are warm enough and he got used to the condition, and he finished the whole lap at 6 minute 46 second 8:74. By October 28th, 2024, Ultra was named the fastest four-door production vehicle.
Yeah. One lap.
One
in damp
lap.
track.
One lap only.
World record.
Yeah.
Wow.
Almost a year afterwards, on April the 1st, not April Fool's Day, it was a serious test, in 2025, Xiaomi SU7 Ultra prototype completed a second time. The lap was completed at 6 minute 22 seconds 091.
So a 24-second gain.
24-second gain. That's right. All the numbers are officially documented on the Nürburgring record. As Top Gear puts it, in June 2025, it is the fastest electric production car.
Wow.
Yeah, it is the fastest. In electric vehicles, only 4 cars that completed the electric vehicle laps on Nürburgring, and from 3 different companies. One is Tesla, one is Porsche, and the last one is Xiaomi.
Wow.
And currently, Xiaomi's SU7 Ultra with track package is the fastest out of
Wow.
all the electric vehicles.
So I think Lei Jun did end up achieving what he set out to achieve with the supercar
Yeah.
category. Like
Yeah.
they're not just putting out, they can't just put out SU7 thinking that, I'm going to label it as racing supercar and then not have something like this lap record to
Yeah.
come with it.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
For the past month, we've just been immersed in a world of like auto sports and racing. We watch something every single weekend and we talk about this very constantly. So I guess to give everyone a little bit more context, also as a newly converted auto fan, like thanks to Linda, there are typically 2 types of races in auto industry, right? One is the sprint race where you compete on speed. And the other one is called the endurance racing where you compete. Can you last 24 hours and still be in one piece,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
Who drives the longest?
Right. Who
Yeah.
drives the longest? Who drives the longest distance?
Yeah.
So in the sprint racing, you would have Formula One, NASCAR, AutoGP, and IndyCar. And in the endurance race, the most famous one,
Le Mans?
exactly, that's right. Most of the cars who were able to complete any one of those races became the champion for that automaking company. And that brought brand power
Right.
to that company.
Yeah.
People don't want to just buy a regular car. People want to buy, what's produced in a Ferrari.
race winner
Exactly, a race winner. Oh, Porsche.
Does that mean they're going to enter races?
You're onto something. I would logically assume that
That's the
maybe
goal.
that would be the goal.
I can't wait.
I
if
can't
that
wait
is,
either.
yeah. Please put it on track.
If you're interested in learning more about how the halo effect, the race winning car, brings glory to a production car, there is a great movie as reference, which is Ford versus Ferrari. the one that I recently watched. We can rewatch that together.
It's a great movie.
By Christian Bale and Matt Damon. That is when Ford Company wants to really increase its, not really production, but they
Brand
want to,
value.
exactly. They want to pivot to a new brand image, and by competing with Ferrari gives them the new brand value. And that's when the Ford GT40 was created. Right. And it was a movie about the Le Mans race.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Was so interesting. The halo effect happened in a lot of different car companies. So Ford made Mustang, and Ford also has, GT40 and a few other GT cars. And Porsche has the regular Porsche cars where you can buy as a beginner. There is also the Porsche 911, the Porsche 356, where they won races and brought so much glory to the company such that the entire brand increases in value and everyone wants to get that car. And okay, fun fact, very fun fact. Now that we've watched F1 the movie for a couple of times, did you know?
A couple of times.
No, a couple of times. Did you know F1, the first car that showed up in Daytona 24, that actual blue car that was being raced
by Brad Pitt,
it was a Porsche GT3R. It was an actual race car.
Yeah.
And then the person who was handing that car to Sonny Hayes was an actual car racer.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, so his teammates in the movie were actual racers.
Yes.
Interesting.
And he was an actual car racer with
Fun fact.
With an actual Porsche racing car, who brought the car to Sonny Hayes. Like
wow.
nicely done. Now that I've watched it for so many times, I was finally able to connect
there's
it
a
up.
lot of actual racers in the movie.
The motorsports has been popular in the EU and in the US, and Japan was kind of in that game as well. And now finally, Xiaomi made it China relevant.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that was
And I think there's another reason where, so they decided to self-invest the engine because of their learnings in the smartphone. They need to actually make their key components.
Yeah.
And SU7 Ultra was actually the perfect way to market their hyper-engine V8.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was saying that with this engine, our horsepower is amazing.
It was 1,500 PS. That's 1.5 times of Porsche Taycan. In the Ultra release meeting, Lei Jun was also trying to be funny and trying to sell the car. And he mentioned how much of a details that he was trying to put into the car that he was hoping that everyone can notice that. And one of it is, he mentioned, for those of you who buy a lot of sports cars would know that carbon fiber is a very expensive material in the car.
Right. And for those of you who don't buy sports cars, I now just told you.
He showcased in 17 different places in this Ultra car.
Right.
I use carbon fiber, but honestly,
don't all sports cars have carbon fiber?
But here's the thing, though: the battery pack is too heavy, so he has to reduce weight where you can, and that means you have to use a lot of carbon fiber.
Right.
So all the materials, it wasn't because of I want to use it because it's luxurious, but because I want to save weight. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Such that he has to use a carbon fiber, and also he made a very funny comment on the Pirelli tires. He was saying that for those of you who wants to order, you can order it now. You have about whatever time before you can lock down your deals. And if you think that you want to, just upgrade your car a little bit, we have the Pirelli P0 tires for you to order. And when you're driving to work with your P0 tires, I'm like, who is going to drive to work with some P0 tires just on a regular street? I think he was trying to give those who are in the performance or the racing needs an option that you can upgrade it to a
racing
P0,
tire.
Racing tire. Yeah, last bit onto U7 finally. So the U7, once again,
YU7.
YU7, right? Why is it YU7? Naming convention comes first. U7 is coming from an expression. It's called 御风而行, and it roughly translates into 御风 is sitting on top of the wind.
Right.
It's back in the days how a god would travel. You're
like
sitting
traveling
on top
on the cloud, like Goku from
something like that. Something like that. This line is from 庄子, Xiaoyo, which translate into a happy journey or a carefree journey. He wants you to have the feeling that, oh, traveling by YU7 is like sitting on top of the wind.
Yeah.
It's so fast and so smooth
And carefree.
and carefree.
Got
Come
it.
try our SUV. Yeah, that's kind of the brand image that he was trying to.
Interesting. Yeah, and it fits for a family car.
Family car.
Yeah.
The YU7's competitors are Model Y, Porsche, Macan. This car was released recently, and within 3 minutes of the first release, 240,000 pieces of that car was subscribed.
Ordered. Yeah.
Was ordered.
Yeah. That's how much Tesla sold, Model 3 sold for a year, by the way.
For a year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In its peak in 2021.
Right. So
Yeah.
now the only problem is whether they can actually deliver it. I guess the last one quick comment that I want to ask about YU7 before we dive into the production delivery is YU7 gives you a little bit of a surprise as well. Now that the Ultra has completed the sprint race, YU7 completed not a Le Mans race, but a Le Mans 24-hour driving and
Really?
charging. Yes. I found the video. That video was released. It was edited. It shows that one YU7 testing car completed a non-stop 24-hour journey, and it was racing and charging and racing and charging, and then the car did not explode. How is that possible?
Wait. Okay, first of all, cars don't explode.
The battery will overheat, right? And
Right.
if the battery overheats, I've never been running a car for 24 hours. I don't know what will happen
Yeah.
if a car runs for 24 hours where you continually exhaust and charge and exhaust and charge. Typically, if I do that to my phone, my mom would ask me to put the phone down. So,
Right.
but yes, I can
that's
show the video.
surprising. First of all, they're positioned as a Model Y, which is kind of a small SUV type of car, and it was targeted for families with kids, or just families in general. So I wasn't expecting that it would go through the same marketing as Ultra, which is targeting like the
performance
sports enthusiasts.
The performance,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
And here's the funny thing: a lot of people, I've watched a few reviews on Bilibili on how the SU7 owners and U7 owners, even the Ultra owners, how they see their cars and how they see the performance of their cars. And it seems that some people have even said that you can almost get all three of them. They don't overlap with each other. An SUV for family, for endurance and range. An Ultra just because it's a crazy electronic monster
Mm-hmm.
that the performance is so great and very limited if you can even get the car, right? And a SU7 for daily commute.
Yeah.
So these three products are complementary to each other. They don't overlap a lot. And I had the rare chance of sitting in a SU7 Ultra just about a couple of weeks ago. It was a complete accident. I was in Shenzhen visiting my friends. By the end of it, my friend offered that, can I give you a lift home? I'm like, sure. And walked into the garage. He's like, here comes a
What a coincidence.
yeah, what a coincidence. And I was really surprised that how are you able to get it so fast, right?
Yeah, how?
Yeah, he just got it early enough.
Oh, okay.
We didn't try anything crazy, but he did demonstrate in like the 2-second acceleration, the feeling that you're sitting in a sports car. That's the G-force that's against you.
Yeah.
It's quite comfy, I have to say.
Wow.
But I only experienced for like 5 seconds. That's it.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
It would have been a bit dangerous if you experienced it for more than 5 seconds.
I would not recommend driving it at that speed at a non-racing convention. Like
Yeah.
if it's regular commute, please drive very safely. But for that particular experience, I'd say it's a very comfortable car. About the deliveries and
Numbers.
concerns and numbers.
Yes.
Let's go.
Okay, I think we should take a step back right now to just get a perspective of EV overall right now. I'm using rough numbers, but the annual global sales in terms of passenger vehicles, this is not just EVs, every single passenger vehicle, so your sedans, SUVs, it's about 75 million units per year. And China accounts for 1/3 of that, which is a lot, 25 million. Right now in China, half of the new sales are EVs. About half, so let's say 11, 12 million of that. How many do you think are sold globally? 75 is like gas cars and EVs.
Oh,
right? Out of the
okay.
75, China accounts for 25, but about like less than half of those are EVs. So that's 11. So 75, China 25, EV 11 in China.
Mm-hmm.
There's 50 million that's outside of China. Out of those 50 million, how much are EVs?
5 million-ish?
6 million.
Okay, okay.
China is the single largest market by far when it comes to EVs because 11 millions are sold in China and 6 millions are sold everywhere else. This is the importance of China as an EV market. And this is how strong the demand is. And this is partially, actually mainly because of government support. And so let's go back to this 11 million figure, which is the numbers of EV sold in China last year, which is Xiaomi's entire market. Where was Xiaomi's share? So out of the 11 million, BYD took up in China, I think about their entire global is for something million. So in China, I think it's about maybe two-ish,
okay,
2-3.
Okay.
So they're the biggest player, right?
Yeah.
And see, this is how scattered the Chinese market is because BYD as the biggest player took up like maybe less than 1/3, and then everyone gets
10%.
cuts. Everyone gets cuts. Xiaomi only took up 1.2%.
Really? Wow.
Minding that they started, so two reasons for that. One is the traditional automaker took a majority of that, right? BYD plus your Cherries, your SAIC, they took up most of it because economies of scale, distributor, whatnot,
Incentives.
and all the taxi drivers gets these cars, so they get bulk buying too. Most of the new EV players like Li Auto, NIO, Xiaomi, XPeng, they're way under 1 million. Li Auto is 526 million. It's 526,000. And then NIO, XPeng, and Xiaomi all get 150-ish. So Xiaomi's exact numbers is 136,854 that they published. So let's say 140,000. That's only 1.2% of the market. To be completely fair though, about 60% of this 11 million, so about 6-something million, are pure electric EV. The others are hybrids. So technically they're competing in the 6 million category. But even then, think about the scale, right? Majority of those EVs are mass market low end. Xiaomi competes in the 30,000 plus USD category, and that's already a smaller segment. And within the segment, they compete against more than, I would say, it's technically more than 100, but I would think their main competitors are about 20 or so. And they get a part of that. When the SU7 was released last year, it took 9 months for them to generate 140,000 sales. And I think about more than half was ordered. With the YU7, you just mentioned that 240 were ordered in the first day. We haven't seen too much delivered yet. It's only 6,000 or so because it was just released last month. But these numbers, comparing to Tesla, currently they're suppressing Tesla sales. However, Tesla peaked in 2021. And at its peak, it's actually slightly higher than SU7. But bear in mind that Tesla actually started selling their EV
much earlier.
Much earlier. Even in China, the first year of the domestic Shanghai-produced Tesla started their first sale in 2019. So by no means this is like low in terms of sales numbers, but it is right now in its first year on par with Tesla, right? And this is only their first year. And it surpassed all of its immediate competitors, like NIO, like I think it's with the total order. I think it surpassed both XPeng and Li Auto. This is way beyond everyone's expectations, even beyond Lei Jun's expectations, I would believe, because they had 3 years to do this, right? And so if you planned your capacity correctly, you should be able to deliver your cars according to your sales, right? In the grand scheme of things, they're not big, but they're the fastest rising. Nobody expected them to go into their first year to produce or to sell this many cars. Because NIO and XPeng has been in this industry for years, and their sales in mid-2025 today are not as high. So they are, in fact, the fastest growing one. And the 150,000 or 140,000 I just mentioned, it's up to December last year, right? 9 months in, it's just the SU7s, including maybe 2 months into the Ultra production. The U7, because it's a family car, you get 3 times as much interest in terms of the initial orders.
Sure.
So we're expecting that 150 number to multiply or to triple this year.
Yeah.
I mentioned that Xiaomi didn't expect this.
No.
And how do we know that?
The factory wasn't large enough.
So right now, I think if you order a car, you have to wait for 1 year. And this is like hashtag going on Weibo
boy.
that's like, give me my car. something along the lines of where's my car? Like, how long do I have to wait? Obviously, the sales and the order went wildly beyond everyone's expectation. When they initially planned their factories, it was in Beijing. They signed a special deal. They planned 2 factories. Both of them had an initial capacity of 150,000 deliveries a year. The first one started production last year when SU7 was launched. This is March. By June, 3 months later, they realized it's not going to work. 150,000 is not going to cut it. So they started double shifting. So instead of having 8-hour shifts, shut down the factory and then come back next day, they started doing 2 8-hour shifts, and obviously you can do this in China. They started 2 8-hour shifts to increase the capacity, not up to 300,000 because you still have downtime in between. You don't want to work your machinery too hard. But officially, they claim that it's from 150,000 capacity, it increased to 2,400.
Wow.
It's one factory. Second factory, same plant capacity, now doubles. And the second factory actually was only, I don't know if they probably only started production this month.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. And so Xiaomi, if you look at their financial statement, they moved up their projection for capacity from 300,000 or delivery from 300,000 to 350,000 because of this all kind of unexpected shift that forced them to think about all the things they can do to increase production last minute. And actually confirmed rumor, that they one of their subsidiaries just purchased an extra piece of land nearby the 2 factories, meaning that they are planning to start construction on the 3rd factory.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so fast.
Exactly.
And I've seen on the Bilibili, every 76 seconds, a car can be manufactured, and it is 100% automated. Like, as in there's minimum human that's needed.
Yeah.
However, the machines do need like downtime and maintenance. We've tried to reserve spots to go and see the factories ourselves, but even the factory itself is very overbooked.
Yeah, the the tourists are overbooked because everyone wants to see how it's made.
Yeah.
They initially only planned like 2 sessions a week, and then they had to increase it to like a daily, two sessions daily, plus extra sessions on the weekends, extra tours on the weekends
to accommodate all
and
people.
Still we couldn't book a time 2 weeks in. Yeah.
Just to show you the popularity that it has.
Exactly. With the 2 factories, with the double shift, they can technically produce 500,000 units a year, and this is the anticipated number by the end of this year. So in comparison, Tesla in Shanghai. So Tesla produce about 1.8 million units a year, so way beyond Xiaomi's unit production, obviously, because they've been in the market longer and they're selling globally, right? Half of those are produced in Shanghai, so 900,000 units. Xiaomi's production capacity right now is already at, well, not exactly, but let's say end of this year, they should be at 500 per year.
Half of
versus
that.
900 in Tesla. Out of the 900, probably only 2/3 of that is sold in China. So their expected annual sales volume will match Tesla in their second year of business with 2 SKUs. If the production goes all right, double shift, 150 per shift, so that times that by 4, so 500 should be something that they can
Reasonable.
commit to. And then with the third factory, so also the speed of which they complete the factory construction. Every year there's a new factory so far. So if that's the production rate and sales continue to go up and they release a unit, reaching Tesla level, it's just a matter of time, and it's maybe 2-3 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why we think it ascended.
It did. and stock price too, if you look at it. In the history of EV making in China, I think we can definitely say they're a success.
Just for how a short amount of time and how much that they were able to complete. Lei Jun at 52-year-old starting a new venture.
Yeah.
And, in 3 years, he actually ended somewhere.
Yeah. And one other thing I want to talk about is profitability, because Lei Jun mentioned that he's willing to put up money for, I think it was 5 years before making a profit. This is already very fast for car manufacturing because the amount of R&D and new distribution
Down
store that you
cost
have
is very high.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they didn't take money from VCs because Xiaomi as a cell phone manufacturer had large cash reserves. So they could afford this whole venture by themselves, but they're also under a lot of pressure to deliver profit as soon as possible. And my expectations right now, and there's this magic number in China EV making, in the market level that they're in, or in the premium EV cars, if you make 350,000 cars, and if your costs are at par with market, you should be able to make a profit. And XPeng has delivered that. For Xiaomi right now, if you look at the current trajectory, Li Auto has delivered that. It's the first these type of EV to generate a profit. Xiaomi can probably do it by end of this year, but because it ramps up production, right? So I think the first year Xiaomi will report a profit will be actually to 2026, and it probably reaches profitability by end of this year.
Right.
So
it's really fast.
Really fast because there's only 2 manufacturers, the new type of manufacturers. One is Li Auto. The other one is called Leap Motor. Yeah. 领跑汽车. Either your volume goes up and you hit scales of production, 350,000, or you have some level of vertical integration, so you own the battery making or you own components. So Leap Motor actually achieved profit at 300K, so a bit lower than the 350, let's say, magic number, because they do have some vertical integration going on. And Xiaomi, I feel like and they've done it in years. So for Xiaomi to do it in a year and a half is also creating a record in the fastest EV maker to produce a profitability. And they actually achieved it in 2 different ways. BYD is also absolutely generating revenue, but they're in a different model category. They're in the lower cost category. Now that we know what went on in the past 4-5 years, what do you think is going to happen in the future?
Oh my God. $1 million question.
Yeah.
I have another piece of evidence, which I think is a very good start of what could be the direction of the future for Xiaomi EV. I think very positively of this venture. I know this is relatively controversial. I think people, at least the traditional manufacturers, are thinking that, how could you be doing something like you're just copycatting? Like this is not even a serious motor, and the production level is so low. But Lei Jun himself wants to aim for a goal that's very high up there, like not within reach. He wants to be the
Number
is it?
5. Top 5.
Top 5
So at least 4 million units.
automakers
Yeah.
in the world, right? Like, see, this is crazy. Like, you're a cell phone manufacturer.
But I mean, when he went into cell phone manufacturing, he didn't think I'm going to be the top 3 either, right? Or I mean, maybe he did, but like,
right.
it was a miracle.
It was it was unintended, but it was he really was very good at making hardware products, and he will continue to do that, and he has a track record of demonstrating that. Also, very interestingly, are you a GT game Gran Turismo player? You're not.
No,
Okay, here's another surprise.
my love is limited to F1.
Ultra is the only Chinese car that is featured in Gran Turismo 7.
No.
Yes, and this was launched in June, so just 2 months ago. And so what is this
Does
GT
Xiaomi
game?
have to pay GT to get in?
I don't think that they have to. I do think I don't know for sure, but I think the designer for GT highly approves the car. So GT is a series of, it's basically a racing video game that is developed. It was released in PlayStation games. Something special about GT is it is intended to emulate not just the appearance, but the physical performance of the vehicle as well. So in the game, you will actually experience what's it like to be turning that car, cornering, like driving on curbs.
So if you can't get a Xiaomi car delivered to your house because of the order backlog, you can buy the GT3 or GT.
Isn't
Turismo?
that
Yeah.
a very smart way of getting your worldwide fans? Now, everyone, at least who plays GT 7, can see and
awesome.
feel what's it like to be driving on a simulator in SU7 Ultra.
Actually, this relates to kind of my view for the future, which is at some point, right? Because China is the first one to really adopt, the first major country to really adopt EV. They have to turn to the global market at some point. And the estimate is that by 2017 is when Xiaomi might be thinking about global penetration.
Jeez.
So
I'm ready.
so it's interesting how, they're putting in the pre-work even now to make this happen. And you know who else really loves Xiaomi outside of China?
Outside of China?
Yeah.
Wait, a person or a
A
company?
person, but he's a CEO of a company.
Oh, who would that be?
The CEO of Ford.
Oh,
Jim
okay.
Farley.
Oh.
He talks about how he loves his Xiaomi SU7 extensively in the media. Right? For a auto manufacturer to talk about another auto manufacturer in praise.
Wow. That's pretty high praise.
Right.
Yeah.
And props to Ford. Ford is actually, as a company, they visited China looking at the EV industry. And they're actually the second largest EV manufacturer in the US after Tesla. But I mean, Tesla is way up here. So Ford did a trip to China and they looked at all the manufacturing. They went to BYD and they went to CATL, which is a battery manufacturer. And they realized that US is behind and they're not afraid to talk about these, So they went on US media saying that the Chinese battery technology is way more advanced. We need to bring it to the US. They actually got a little bit of backlash because of the geopolitical tension, but they ended up negotiating somehow to open up a factory in Michigan for the latest technology in battery manufacturing called the lithium iron phosphate battery with CATL. So CEO Jim Farley managed in that trip to, I guess, get his hands onto a Xiaomi SU7, brought it back to the US, drove it for 6 months, loved it, didn't want to give it up. I don't know there's no follow-up story. But yeah, no, he went on TV saying how good it is and how much
he enjoyed the experience.
Yeah, and how much we need to acknowledge that China is ahead in this perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
High praise.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so the founder of the GT7 game, GT game, Kazunori Yamaguchi, also had a test drive in Beijing with the Xiaomi car. Was that very limited experience. He also enjoyed the feeling as well.
Yeah.
In the game release, one of the Ultra product manager, Xiaowen, she made it very official that in the next year, Xiaomi EV is going to foster 1,000 racing driver for high performance, and company employees included.
Wow.
So if you want to get a race driver's license,
Xiaomi would pay for it?
Xiaomi would pay for it.
Xiaomi, are you hiring?
Another very attractive onboarding package.
That's crazy.
For you. You could be, getting the driver's license and maybe decide later whether you want to stay with you. But just all in all, I think they're pretty ahead of how they want to be attracting talents in the way they're building cars. Lei Jun really seemed to thoroughly enjoy this process of making the EV. He himself test drove about 170 plus cars, borrowed from colleagues or just also like the cars that he had bought personally. He got a racing license as well, test drove the car in winter, in summer, in different weathers, in different locations. And in the press release, he was able to confidently and competently talks about all the small details of a good performance car.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty transformative. He had fun.
Yeah, I think you have to really love something to devote your time and energy to it and making it a success. And he has demonstrated that openly to the public, which is actually one of the key reasons why the Xiaomi EV so far are perceived so well in the market. Despite some negative media attention with a crash recently, but the amount of energy and the amount of love that he has expressed in this project through all his social media is definitely out there.
Yeah,
and very much visible.
Yeah. And I think with the release of the Xiaomi EV, the performance car, more racing tracks inside of China will start to attract more people who are within the Ultra Club or within the EV performance league. For the first time ever in China, people don't want to damage their pocket or pay extreme amount of money for a performance vehicle. Will finally now get the chance to get a car and to maybe enter that space. So maybe, I don't know, 10 years down the line, we'll have more people who drive in Le Mans who are Chinese. I don't know. Or more
That'd
people.
be awesome.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Or more people maybe entering like F1, other performers. I don't know. It's just a dream.
I think so. I think this is definitely a good start. I don't know how much this one car will but I think that a mix of things will happen to push the Chinese auto industry forward.
And my wildest dream, maybe in the year 2027, and I've told this to a friend in Lei Jun's investing firm, Shunwei Capital. I just casually joked with her and I said, maybe one day SU7 or like one of the Xiaomi cars, Xiaomi EVs will be featured in Fast and Furious. You don't know.
Never know.
It's possible.
It might be the first EV.
Yeah. Might be the first EV.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely looking forward to the future of Xiaomi EV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look forward to that, guys.
And that's a wrap on a nearly 2-hour episode. If you made it this far, thank you for sticking with us. Whether you're deep in thought or just needed a companion for your commute, we like to think it was a bit of 缘分 or fate that brought you here. If you enjoyed the show, the best way to support us is by leaving a quick rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It truly helps us grow. We'll see you in the next episode of Ascent.